What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Epic Roll from Summon Entertainment. This is for 2 or 3 players. It'll take you about 15 to 20 minutes to play. It's for ages 14 plus. And Epic Roll is a light, press your luck dungeon delve game where you're going to be taking control of one of 3 different characters and trying to push your way through the dungeon and eventually be the first person to defeat the evil Lich. It's light, it's simple, it's dicey, but is it good? Let's open it up. I'll tell you what I think about it. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you get inside of Epic Roll. First and foremost, we got a handy dandy rule booklet, 2 pages, double-sided, full colors, got some pictures, illustrations scattered about, and it could be better. It's not quite a bad rule booklet, but it's definitely going to have you being like, I think this is how this is supposed to work, and there'll be a couple times you'll be like, this information seems like it should be somewhere else, but not a terrible rule booklet. So in this game, what you'll be doing is you're going to be taking control of either a green piece, a red piece, or a blue piece, which are going to be a wizard, a warrior, or an elf. And then you are going to be racing across this board right here in a push your luck dice game, trying to be the first person to get all the way over here to the Lich and defeat the Lich. When you defeat the Lich, you're going to be the winner of the game. So we'll take a look at the components, and we'll get a little bit of the gameplay because it's a very simple game. So right here, you got these little red, blue, and green tokens. That's going to keep track of how many fights you have fought in successfully. You'll also notice that there's some flags in the middle. How this works is if you actually lose a fight, then you go back all the way to the beginning, or if you're past the flag, then you go back all the way to the flag. So if you lose this fight right here, you go back to the flag. If you lose this fight right here, you go back to your little character. So that's how that works. Also, you're going to have your health tracker right down here, which goes from 6 down to 0. And the way the health tracker works in the game is at the end of your turn, you're always going to respawn back up to 6 health. So every time you go into a battle at the beginning of your turn, you'll be at 6 health. Also over here, we have our health tracker for the different beasts that you will be fighting throughout the game, which will be decided by these dice right here. When you first start the game, you're going to roll the green dice. You'll be fighting ghouls and skeletons and mummies. And then once you get past the flag, you'll be starting to roll the yellow dice, which are going to be more complex monsters like the zombie, the banshee, and the ghost. And then, of course, once you get to the last spot over here, you'll fight the Lich, who has more health than anybody else. Also, each character is going to have their own custom dice. So the elf is not going to do as much damage, but she does have the potential to roll shield. She is always going to roll something that will be useful in combat. The warrior, on the other hand, is going to have a ×2, so he's going to be a little bit more powerful. And he doesn't have any, or he has 1 defense, and he has 1 spot that has nothing on it, which means you can completely whiff. The wizard, on the other hand, is all about power. He has 2 hits, but he also has 2 blank spots. So he can do a lot of damage, but at the same time, he's very susceptible to being attacked. So each player is going to play a little bit, quote-unquote, different. Also, you're going to have these cards right here. You will acquire a card whenever you defeat a monster. And there's 4 kinds of cards you're going to have in here. First kind you'll have are shields. You can play this and it will count as a shield. You're going to have health. You can play this. It will count as healing yourself one during a turn. Then you can play this one. You guessed it. This will count as 1 sword, which will do damage to your opponents. And then the last one is the counter card, which is this one right here. And this is really the only player interaction in the game. When you play a counter card, you're actually going to play it on other people's turns, and that will make it so that a card that they played does not happen, as long as they don't turn around and counter your cards. I like the idea of these cards, but unfortunately you can only have 2 in your hand at a time, which I feel like, I didn't really like that. So, but I'll tell you more about that in the pros and the cons. But let's get into the gameplay itself, and I'll show you exactly how it works. So, when you first start the game, you're going to go, bada boom, this is the fight you were on. We'll pretend that we're green. What we're going to do is we're going to see who we're fighting. So we'll roll up the green dice. We are going to be fighting the skeleton. So we would move the health token to the skeleton track right there. And then we're going to be rolling our opponent's die, which will be this dice right here. And we're also going to be rolling our colored die, which is that one right there. We roll both these dice at the same time, and we see what happens. So right now, he attacks me for 1, but I block it. A shield blocks every attack that an opponent does, so we would re-roll again. So I do 1 damage. Ha! Take it. 1 and 1, so we would get, boom, 1 there, and 1 down on us. We would do 1 damage to them, and we'll keep going. We would take 1 damage, they would take 1 damage, and then we would once again go boom and boom. And we have successfully defeated this monster, which means bada bing, we get to get a card. Our health stays right there. And now we have to decide, do we want to be done completely with our turn, or we want to push forward and fight another monster, but we aren't going to be gaining any health, except now we know that we will gain 1 health during our turn if we want to. So we'll just, for the sake of argument, say we're going to push forward. We're going to do 1 more battle. So we're going to push forward, and we're going to see what we fight once again. So we'll roll up the yellow dice. We're going to be fighting a ghoul this time. Put it right there, and then we rinse, wash, and repeat, but now we have lower health. So let's see. I block his attack. Ooh, 1 and 1. Boom, boom. So now might be the time where, well, it's a good time to show you how retreating works. So you can retreat in this, and it doesn't cost you anything. It's actually, sometimes it can be a good idea. And how this works is, since you're running away, the opponent gets to attack you, but you don't get to attack them back. And if you die, then you go all the way to the beginning. And if you don't die, so let's just say he does 1 damage to me, I'd go right here, then I would just go back to the spot I was at, and then my turn would be up. Now, what's going to happen is eventually you're going to get to the flag, which means you're going to start acquiring power dice. And when you do this, from these battles forward, you're going to be rolling a power dice on your turn. Now, how this works is, if you get a star, you're going to get a special ability, which is dictated by which character you have. And if you get a blank, it doesn't do anything. So, what are the different abilities? They're pretty simple, much like everything else in this game. If you have an elf, you're going to be able to hit +1 if you have a star. If you have the wizard, you're going to be able to block +1. And if you have the warrior, you're going to be able to heal 1 life. So it actually kind of counterbalances what you're generally stronger at. So you're going to continue to do that. From this point on, you'll be rolling the yellow dice because you're fighting stronger monsters. Also, you cannot go past this, or you can't go backwards past this, so this is kind of like a checkpoint. Eventually what will happen is someone will get to the Lich. The Lich will have their own die that they will be fighting with, their own power die, and this will allow them to heal 1 each time they do it, and the first person to defeat the Lich is going to be the winner of the game. And that, in a nutshell, is how Epic Roll is played. Alrighty then, Epic Roll from Summon Entertainment. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game is not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. 2 to 3 players, very restricted player count. Also, the rules, this is a very simple game. These rules should be good to perfect, and they are mediocre. Mostly just because of the size of the rules. You're going to have a bunch of instances where you're like, I think this is what we're supposed to do, and a couple times you're like, the information I'm looking for is in a weird spot in the rule booklet. It's not a bad rule booklet, but it should be much better than this. Also, this game is a little bit of a double-edged sword, I think. It's short, it's simple, it's incredibly streamlined, and that's going to appeal to a lot of people. I played this with 2 people who I would consider to be non-gamers. Maybe they play a couple party games here and there. Maybe they play Catan every once in a while. But for the most part, they're not big gamers. And they both really enjoyed this game. In fact, one of them was like, yeah, if you end up getting rid of this game after you do it, I would like to have it because he enjoyed it that much and he thought his family would like it that much. But I am not, generally in that same camp. I have to come at this from a gamer's perspective, and from a gamer's perspective, I was left wanting more. So let's start from the beginning. I like the player cards. I really do. I think it's a cool concept. I like the fact that the counter card actually has some player interaction in the game. It adds a little bit of player interaction, but I wanted more cards. I wanted them to do more things, hopefully in an expansion, because I know he's going to be doing an expansion. But my biggest problem that I had with the cards is the fact that it limits you to 2 cards in your hand at a time, and I feel like that is a stupid artificial rule that hinders the game greatly, because by making no hand size, it would allow you extra choices in the game. What I mean by this is when you die, you lose all your cards, which is a pretty big deal. Now, the reason I think that they have the artificial 2-card hand limit is because they don't want people to just hoard cards, get to the Lich, whatever it's pronounced, and just crush the guy. So I understand that. But at the same time, I feel like the people who are using their cards along the journey are going to get to the Lich quicker, which means they're going to have more shots at taking out the Lich. I just think it's a dumb rule to be able to only have a 2-hand card size, and pretty much everyone I played with agreed on that as well. Now, another comment I have of this game, the theme really doesn't come across. They tried their best to make it so you're like, oh, we're playing as different characters, and the characters are slightly different, but really the theme could have been just about anything. It doesn't feel like you're going on an amazing, epic dungeon delve. It just feels like, like you're kind of a bully and you're just going out and beating the crap out of various different monsters every day. But But you know what? I'm not the biggest theme doctor, so it doesn't really bug me too much. Now, one thing that does bug me about the game is the fact... How do I explain this? I wish there was more tension in the game. The push your luck aspect... The key to a good push your luck game, I think, is high risk, high reward. And this game does not have that because you can easily retreat most of the time. You can see, all right, I'm going to face this monster. He took a swing at me. You know what? I'm just going to retreat and I will be perfectly fine. There's no real penalty for retreating, and I feel like if there was, it would improve the game somewhat, or completely getting rid of the retreat function. Because really that kind of, I don't know, that just kind of is counterproductive to a push your luck game, at least in my personal opinion. Also, it seems like it's pretty obvious that most of the time you probably should just push your luck because, hey, maybe you'll just get super lucky and start rolling swords. Because worst case scenario, well, not worst case scenario, but most of the time worst case scenario is you're like, all right, I'm just going to retreat. He's not going to kill me, and we'll move forward. Well, you move backward, but then the next player goes. So yeah, I think the push your luck could be better in this game. I want more player interaction in the game, and that's about all I got on the con side. Moving on to the pro side, Epic Roll stands firmly in the middle for me. Is this a bad game? No. Is this a great game? No. Is this an average game? I think it's slightly above average. But what I like about this game is I feel like it has the potential to be a good to great game. I really do, because it is so simple. It is so streamlined. It's so easy to learn. It's so easy to teach. It plays quickly. And I feel like, I think it's a good, I think it could be, I need to make sure I understate that. I think it could be a good family game. I think it could be a good late night filler game. I feel like this game really missed out on some potential. And, but this is supposed to be the pros. I'm supposed to tell you why I like the game. All right, so why do I like the game? I like the game because it's simple. I like the game because it's streamlined. I like the game because it's easy to learn. It's easy to teach. I like the concept of the cards. I like the press your luck in this game, even though I wish there were more consequences for failing or retreating. I thought the components were serviceable. I would have liked maybe little meeples instead of these little guys, but that's not a huge deal. The box insert is good. The rule booklet, as I mentioned, it's not great, but it will have you up and running. So overall, this is a game that I'm firmly in the middle on. Is this a game I'm going to keep? No. I'm in fact going to give it to my buddy who said he's probably going to play with his kids who are going to love it. But when the expansion comes out, I definitely want to check it out, and hopefully I feel like that could make this game that could potentially have a shot to stay on my shelf. So Epic Roll, my final thoughts are, if you're looking for something that is lighter, that accommodates 2 or 3, because that is a very restricted player count, then this might be one that I would recommend trying before you buy. But for most everybody else, I think you're probably going to be able to steer clear of this one. That is Epic Roll from Summon Entertainment, one that unfortunately did not fulfill all of its potential, I don't think. But if you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know if you watched till the end of this video, what do you think could make this game better? Because I really love the concept of push your luck, dungeon, dice, delves, and unfortunately I still have yet to run into one that really just wows me. So for this game personally, I feel, if you saw the middle part, I would like more cards and I would like more punishing things happening for you when you retreat or when you die. But let me know in the comments below what you think, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.